We've upgraded to an Intel-based PC to improve both our gaming and productivity performance, and it's all thanks to today's video sponsor, Intel. But without any more talking, let's see how we built this PC behind me. At the heart of this PC build is the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K, and it's an absolute monster of a processor featuring 24 cores, 8 of which being performance oriented, with 16 of them being efficiency oriented, and the P cores boost up to 5.7 GHz, so this CPU is going to slice through all of our productivity and gaming workloads. There won't be any issues there. It's also featuring an NPU, which can improve performance in some AI tasks, and I might be using it for AI denoising in case if I don't shoot my videos properly and there's a lot of noise in them. This can speed up the processing of that. And we're slotting the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K into the Asus Strix Z890 Strix-F Wi-Fi. This is an absolutely brilliant motherboard for this CPU, as it's got very beefy VRM, so it will be able to handle the 250 watt load of this processor, and it's got plenty of features as well, including Thunderbolt 4, which is very handy for content creators, as we often move files around quite often. So yeah, that's very handy. And it's also got Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4, which admittedly I won't be utilising all too much, but the Bluetooth is very nice if I want to connect something like an Xbox controller, for instance. Anyways, it's got 5 M.2 slots, all of which are NVMe, and we're only populating 3 of them. The boot drive we're going for is Crucial's T705, which is one of the fastest Gen 5 NVMe's on the market, and I think it would be very nice for installing Windows 11 and our core applications, and it will be a very snappy experience. For video editing projects, Kingston Memory sent out their Fury Renegade Gen 4 NVMe, and it's a 2TB capacity drive, so I've got plenty of storage for all of my projects, no matter how hectic things get here. So that's really nice to see, and it's got very decent read and writes on there as well, so there will be no bottlenecks there. To store our Steam library, we're still using the SK Hynix P41. Over the past year or so I've used it, it's been absolutely solid, and it's also acting as our media cache drive as well, which we've been using it in this configuration for the past, I'd like to say, year as well, and it's been absolutely fine, so everything's brilliant there. So in total we've got around 6 TB of NVMe storage, which is quite a lot. What we've also got a lot of is DDR5 memory. We've gone with Crucial's Pro 5600 Megatransfers CL46, which might not seem like the fastest memory in the world, but it's got capacity on its side, as it's a 128 gig kit with only 2 sticks, so it won't be hitting the CPU's memory controller too hard, as I don't really like using 4 sticks, especially on DDR5 systems, as yeah, it gives the system quite a hard time. Anyways, this is a crazy amount of RAM, especially for video editing. Capacity over speed matters quite a bit. Now to core the 250 watt load of the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K, we've got Corsair's H170i iQ Link, there we go, that's the product name. Anyways, this is a 420mm radiator, which will have absolutely zero issue of cooling this processor. And best of all, it's an RGB one, but you don't have to mess around with all the RGB cables, as it's an iQ Link, so there's like a couple of cables and then that's it. But to fit a 420mm radiator, we've also had to change case. We've gone to the Be Quiet Lightbase 900, which we've featured quite a lot here on the channel. It's been our test benching sort of, well, case, for lack of a better word. Anyways, you can fit multiple 420mm radiators in this, and the one that we're using today has gone up top, yeah, there we go. And last but not least goes in the graphics card, and we've stuck with the RTX 5070 Ti mainly because it's absolutely phenomenal gaming and video editing performance, and it's also got 16GB of VRAM, which will really help out with our video editing projects and video gaming as well. Even at 1440p, 12GB of VRAM can become troublesome when you start using ray tracing. And Good news, the initial boot went as well as one could expect. Everything booted up, it displayed out perfectly fine, so there were absolutely zero issues with installing Windows as well. I'm not going to drag on this process as it's not the most glamorous part of a PC build, so yes, Windows is now installed. But before we go into Windows fully, I decided to change out the RAM to a 32 gig kit of 6000 mega transfers CL30 to test out one of Intel's newest features. 200S Boost is an overclocking utility which doesn't void your CPU's warranty, and it can give you some extra performance, so that's what we're using today to get a gauge of some gaming results. Speaking of which, we've tested at 1440p, which is our resolution of choice as we've got a 1440p monitor, and we've tested using the latest NVIDIA Game Ready driver, which is 576.52. I think I might have remembered it. Anyways, the 5070 Ti is at its stock out of the box settings, and resizable bar has been enabled. So let's get straight into the gaming results. Let's start off with Cyberpunk 2077 on the Ultra preset with DLSS set to quality, and yeah, the performance here is absolutely brilliant. We're getting around 91 FPS on average, which is perfectly fine by me, and the frame time's looking good with that 69 FPS for the 1% low, so absolutely zero issues here. And on the RT preset, this game looks absolutely phenomenal. This is how I'm personally going to be playing this. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a new one here to the channel, and its built-in benchmark works perfectly fine, and the performance is also very good too. We're getting around 82 FPS on average with a 1% low of 71 FPS, so that frame time is looking very smooth, and the game is looking absolutely brilliant as well with the ray trace global illumination. This is how I'd definitely recommend playing this game, and that's how I'm going to play it as well. We set the Oblivion remaster to the high preset as the ultra quality settings are just really hard to run in this game for some reason. Anyways, the performance is quite good here with 92 FPS on average with a 1% low of 64, so there's absolutely zero problems here and no need for upscaling as this performance is perfectly fine if you ask me. And the game looks absolutely brilliant even without any ray tracing, and yeah, this is how I played the majority of the game anyway, so there is that. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on the Ultra preset looks absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, because this game is very optimized, we're getting really good performance as well. We're breaking into the triple digits here with 116 FPS for the average frame rate, and the 1% lows are also looking very smooth with 92 FPS there. So yet again, the frame time is looking very smooth. Warhorse are just very good at optimizing their game, so massive props to them. We're exceeding our monitor's refresh rate in God of War Ragnarok on the Ultra preset. Yes, the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K is allowing the 5070 Ti to stretch its legs here, because we're getting 184 FPS on average and a really smooth 1% low of 146. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be running into any problems when I come around to replaying this game on this PC. So yeah, it looks absolutely brilliant, and man, it is very smooth as well. So with the 32GB kit and 200S boost enabled, there are absolutely zero issues with playing games at 1440p, but was there any doubt? The Core Ultra 9 processor 285K does a brilliant job of handling the amount of frames that the 5070 Ti is producing, which is great to see. And this is why I didn't want to test at 4K, as I wanted to push the processor, and we don't have a 4K monitor, but rasterization at native 1440p runs absolutely brilliantly, and we're getting really high refresh rate experiences here, so there's absolutely no problems. But even when we enable ray tracing, admittedly with DLSS quality upscaling, the performance is still absolutely brilliant, and I could play games like Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed Shadows with these settings perfectly fine all day, any day. But the crucial 128 gigs of RAM is going back in, as gaming isn't the primary focus of this PC build, as productivity is absolutely key to our workflow, as I need to get videos out for you lot. Anyways, using the Puget benchmarks, yeah, the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K gets on very decently, especially when it's paired with the 5070 Ti. In Photoshop, we see a score of just under 10,000, which is well within line with what I expect, and to be honest, we don't really do anything too advanced in Photoshop. It's literally just the thumbnails and that's it. I mainly do most of my work in Lightroom, and the good thing is the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K gets on very decently here. The biggest sort of indicator of a CPU's performance in this application is how snappy the spot heal tool is, and thankfully the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K is getting on absolutely brilliantly, as it's very snappy in this, so there's absolutely zero problems here. Now going to Premiere Pro, which is arguably the most important application I use, and good news here because the score is very competitive at 14,424. Now, everything is working in tandem together here with the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K with its integrated graphics and QuickSync mixing with the 5070 Ti is meaning we're getting a very efficient and snappy video editing experience. And when Adobe eventually update Premiere Pro to leverage the Blackwell Media Engine, we'll get a very nice and snappy and efficient video editing process when Adobe finally decides to update it. And last but not least, well, that's a bit of a lie. I don't really use Adobe After Effects, but the score here is absolutely brilliant as this system clocked in at around 15,000, which is quite a lot for After Effects. So if I wanted to get into some motion graphics, which I've been on the fence about for like the past month or so, I know that this system is going to handle it perfectly fine. Now, the Premiere Pro benchmark in particular doesn't tell the whole story because Puget Systems use a bunch of different video codecs in the benchmark, most of which we don't personally use here. Now, the main codec we shoot on is Sony 4K 10-bit 422 and a mix of 8-bit 420 where we're recording like game capture, for instance. These are the major video codecs that we work with, and this system is geared perfectly towards them, especially when Adobe want to update it. Anyways, I can comment from some short form I've been editing recently on this machine, and it's been very responsive with video editing, which makes the whole experience far better, let me tell you that. So the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K mixing with the rest of the parts of this system has provided an excellent gaming and video editing along with photo editing experience, which is great because as soon as I finish work I like to play games, and when I'm working I also like to have a very smooth and responsive experience there. So this processor literally checks all of my boxes, and I want to say a big thank you to Intel for sponsoring this video and for sending out the Core Ultra 9 processor 285K and some of the parts to complete this build. If you want to check them out, they will be linked in the description down below. And by the way, Intel is running their spring gaming bundle where you can get 2 games when you purchase a qualifying Intel processor. Anyways, if you want to see a more budget-oriented workstation build, we've got one in a video up there. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.